All right, my name is Kristen Martin, and this is my presentation for the topic paper. I chose my topic to be food safety regulations in California's leafy greens. Mainly just going to be looking at the effects of E. coli on the market and what is, the creation of food safety in response to E. coli and, and how much that's kind of costing farmers. Oops, I should put this in presentation mode. Ooh, there we go. All right, leafy greens. So just like these are the plants that are considered leafy greens according to the LGMA. Arugula, baby spinach, butterleaf, green and red cabbage, Savoy cabbage, green chard, endive, escarole, green leaf, iceberg, kale, red leaf, romaine, and spring mix. Those are all the types of crops that are considered leafy greens by the LGMA. All right, so the leafy greens market, I mainly just looked at the lettuce market for this because it's the biggest market out of all of the leafy greens. California produces 71% of the lettuce in the United States, and when you also factor in how much lettuce Arizona manufactures, that's actually California and Arizona produce 98% of the lettuce in the United States. Lettuce is ranked as California's seventh top commodity. It was ranked that in 2017. And the lettuce industry's total value in 2017 was $2.4 billion. A main issue with leafy green production is E. coli. There have been many recent recalls in leafy greens for E. coli, and it has caused many consumers to be cautious when shopping, especially around the times when they happen. Once that news gets out that certain romaine is getting recalled, then no one wants to buy any romaine at all, and that really hurts the market. The first big E. coli outbreak happened in 2006 and caused nearly 200 people to get ill from consuming contaminated spinach. The contaminated water is the suspected culprit of E. coli, but still, even to this day, scientists really have no idea how E. coli gets into lettuce and spinach and all the leafy greens. Romaine has been definitely the one that has the most issues with E. coli, and a lot of scientists, and I mean, it kind of makes sense that if the E. coli is in the water, the way that romaine is shaped, how it has kind of like that funnel, water can get stuck in there, and if people don't wash their lettuce before they eat it, then they will get E. coli, possibly. Hopefully not, because there's a lot of water testing, as we'll see. So FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, was created in 2011. It was signed into law under President Barack Obama. Let's see, I got some notes.
So I did uninstall and reinstall and still doing that.
So let's see. The act gave the FDA the ability to prevent foodborne illnesses in the United States by providing new enforcement authorities to encourage more compliance with illness prevention and to hold imported foods to the same safety standards as domestic foods. Within the Food Safety Modernization Act, there's also the produce rule, which are standards for the growing, harvesting, packing, and holding of produce for human consumption. And then along with that, there's also the California Leafy Green Products Handlers Marketing Agreement that was formed in 2007 after that big 2006 E. coli outbreak. So FSMA and the produce rule. FSMA was signed into law January 11th, 2011. It changed the focus from responding to illness to preventing it. And within FSMA, the produce rule has specific production practices that go along with 5 categories: agricultural water quality, soil amendments of animal origin, worker health and hygiene, animal intrusion, and sanitary standards. In my paper, I really go into how much all of that costs, and you can kind of see how incredibly expensive it is to implement all these things, and it is kind of hard on leafy green farmers because leafy greens are they're not very expensive. They don't cost a lot to grow or to sell. So, you know, when you have, if the market happens to be bad at that time and you're still putting in all this funding into food safety and other things, labor, all that stuff, sometimes it can make it really hard to make a profit. But I mean, when the market's good, it's a great industry. And I have written down that complying to the produce rule costs United States farmers around $368.17 million annually. And then this one just applies to California produce. So LGMA was created after the 2006 E. coli spinach outbreak. It's a voluntary agreement. You really don't need to be a part of it, but 90% of producers are involved in it because it's one of those things where people who are purchasing these products, they only want to purchase products that are following these rules and many other food safety rules. So it pretty much makes it involuntary at that point. You kind of have to if you want customers. And around 90% of the California leafy green growers are a part of it, like I just said. And the one big thing is, I also went over this on my paper in more detail, but complying to the LGMA rules is that, it ends up increasing cost per acre by around 127% on average. And I also go into it in here that you can see that many of the small and medium-sized farms end up having to pay a lot more than larger farms, and I'm sure it's just because, if you've already it's easier to buy things in bulk if you're a larger farm. But that's also a big thing that I think should be looked into, because it's kind of hard on the smaller farmers. And thank you. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had for this. I'm hoping I did this presentation right and my paper right. Hopefully we will get through this quarantine and finish the semester strong. And anyways, thank you for watching my presentation.